Good morning, good morning, good morning. Good morning, good morning. As I always do, I'm gonna let this live fill up. As you come on this live, please share this live. I told you I was gonna come back today and finish up what I was talking about the other day with the xenophobia. So let me just share this with a couple of people. Let me share this video, this live. As you come on this live, please share it. We're gonna get into it. We're gonna talk about this xenophobia again. But today, what I want to really talk about, I really want to talk about, a lot of, we know what the South Africans are doing to, different ethnic groups from Nigeria, different, ethnic groups and citizens from Zimbabwe and other Africans. But what I want to talk about today, okay, we are holding South Africa responsible. You feel me? We know South Africans are in the wrong. They're committing dehumanizing acts on other Africans from other parts of the continent. We're definitely holding South Africa accountable. But what I want to talk about today is we have to hold the African countries and governments that these brothers and sisters are migrating from to South Africa in hopes of a better life and to set up, their own businesses, shops, and things of that nature in another country in order to establish a better life. So today what I want to talk about is now we're holding South Africa accountable. Now we must hold countries like Nigeria and other countries that these brothers and sisters are coming from accountable. Specifically Nigeria. You feel me? Is what I'm going to talk about today, is that we must hold these governments like Nigeria and these African countries that are forcing these brothers and sisters have to go to another part of the African continent in search of a better life. So if they have to leave their country, right? If these brothers and sisters have to leave their country to go to another country in hopes of a better life, then what does that tell you about that country's government? You feel me? That I think the main thing that we're always overlooking is that these African governments in Africa are zoos. You feel me? They are terrible. They are not they're not taking care of their people. You see what I'm saying? Governments like Nigeria, they're not taking care of certain ethnic groups and people inside their country. You know what I'm saying? Like we always talking about with like the genocide and attacks on different ethnic groups in Nigeria, specifically pertaining to southeastern Nigeria and Ipob people, period. You see what I'm saying? Why are these ethnic groups not thriving in these countries to the point that they have to leave these countries and go to another part of the continent in order for a better life? So no, where the solution and the correction has to start is in those countries like Nigeria. You feel me? So this is the shit that's going on in South Africa. You feel me? Is basically a reflection of those governments that these brothers and sisters are migrating from. It's the same thing that's going on in the Western Hemisphere also. You know what I'm saying? As pertaining to Chicanos, Mexicans, and people who are fleeing Mexico to try to come to the United States as immigrants. It's the same thing. These same things are, it's an ecosystem of oppression. It's going on all over the globe. So we see what's going on in these countries that these brothers and sisters and other nationals are migrating to. So we must focus on the countries that are you know what I'm saying, like forcing these brothers and sisters to have to go to another country. And I'm gonna use, for example, like I'm always using, some of the struggles that's going on the continent. Like, say for instance, in Sudan. Again, what's going on in Sudan? What's going on in Nigeria? What's going on in Cameroon? You see what I'm saying? What's going on in the Congo? What's going on in Zimbabwe? You feel me? Like these, and we can go outside of that African continent and go to the African diaspora as well, which is You know what I'm saying? Or different countries like I don't know if y'all been paying attention to the news. Like I'm saying, like you got citizens who are uprising all across the globe right now. Hong Kong. If you're not paying attention to this, what's going on in the news, look what's going on in Hong Kong. You see what I'm saying? Their citizens are uprising up against their government. You see what I'm saying? So, West Papaya. If you're not paying attention to what's going on in the West Papaya struggle that's going on, look what's going on with those brothers and sisters who have been oppressed by their government, who's seeking independence and separation from their government. You see what I'm saying? Let's take it to who else is going through a struggle, right? Puerto Rico. You see what I'm saying? Look at the Puerto Rican citizens. They just kicked out their governor. You see what I'm saying? So, even in Europe, even on the continent of Europe, you have citizens who are uprising right now in Europe, London, Paris, who have been uprising there for the last two years against their government. So my thing is this. When we see these type of things that's going on with xenophobia, and we're seeing brothers and sisters attacking each other, you see what I'm saying, based on whether it's jealousy, self-hate, you feel me, or what creates self-hate and jealousy, period, which is our conditions in the material world. What is causing the conditions in this material world? Your governments. You see what I'm saying? When the government, like I'm always telling people this, man, if the governments are not a people's government and are not operating in the best interest of the people and the citizens of those countries, then that government is not good for the people, and it's going to self-destruct from the get-go. And the sad thing about this is that a lot of these governments in place are governments that's been carrying on the tradition of oppression for centuries. They're replacing puppet governments with puppet governments who are not for the people. You see what I'm saying? This is going on all over the globe. See, now, this is the one thing that all oppressed people have in common, is that you're being oppressed all over the globe. This is not just going on in Africa. You feel me? It's not just going on in Africa. You got it going on in India, Kashmir. If you haven't seen the Kashmir, if you don't know what the Kashmir struggle is about, do your homework and research on what's going on in Kashmir. The Kashmir brothers and sisters are uprising in Kashmir in India against their government. You see what I'm saying? And we could take this back to even when Gaddafi was assassinated in Libya. You feel me? Is before he was assassinated and before any of this was brought to the national media, what was going on in Northern Africa and Libya and things of that nature with the oppression that's going on in the northern continent, is that you had brothers and sisters from Africa crossing over, trying to make it to Europe. They were killing themselves, dying, overpacking boats. You feel me? Trying to get out of North Africa and West Africa to try to cross over into Europe for a better life. So this is what we have to focus on and bring attention to, is like, what's up with these governments in Africa? What's up with these governments all across the world? But I'm speaking specifically on African people right now. You feel me? I stand in solidarity with all oppressed people globally. You feel me? But what's going on with our African, you know what I'm saying, ancestral lands and African governments that's in place in Africa? See, this is the thing that I'm always trying to explain to brothers and sisters, man, period, on why political education is so important. You know what I'm saying? Every time I speak or I want to utter anything to the people of the world, the oppressed people of the world, I'm going to make you shiver, because I'm going to bring up the truth on what's going on as far as like what is, you know what I'm saying, what is going on with these African governments, man. You see what I'm saying? Oppressing people for centuries. You see what I'm saying? Like, and the root of that, like I keep explaining to people, and why we must understand political education. You must get politically educated. You cannot understand your reality and what's going on with these puppet governments if you're not political educated. This is why Kwame Nkrumah stressed and pushed political education. Patrice Lumumba, Thomas Sankara, Emil Cabral, all these great freedom fighters and leaders, the Mau Mau in East Kenya, Africa, the Mau Mau. You see what I'm saying? All these great people, Julius Nyerere. I mean, we have great freedom fighting theoreticians throughout history who was trying to fight global European imperialism and capitalism on the continent of Africa. We must study these individuals. You must get a hold of this material that these brothers and sisters have wrote before they were assassinated or before they were sent into exile. These brothers and sisters was not murdered and assassinated. These great freedom fighters and leaders were not assassinated for no reason, people. It had to be something there that Europeans had to use other brothers and sisters to murder freedom fighters who were trying to liberate African people and trying to get African people to take back their resources and kick the Europeans off the African continent. The ones who have no good interest in helping the Africans on the continent. They had to go. This is why these freedom fighters rose up throughout history in Africa to fight capitalism, to fight imperialism, man. And like the great Nnamdi Kanu is doing right now. You feel me? A lot of people might not agree with a lot of his methods and things of that nature, but you got to understand, all strategies are in play when you're trying to liberate your people from Negro sellout leaders and flat out European controlled African governments, man. All strategies are in play on the African continent when it comes to this, and in the African diaspora. Haiti, I always leave Haiti out. You need to study what's going on in Haiti right now. You feel me? Like, why hasn't Haiti has natural resources, man. They have oil, gold, and this the most important thing that we got to understand as black people globally is that we don't need Europeans to do business with. We have to do business with each other, but we don't have the proper governments in place to do business with each other, because every time these puppets get put in place, like the Jabril, the fake Muhammad Buhari in Nigeria, when they put these type of individuals in place, it makes it effortless for Africans globally to unite in Pan-Africanism, and it makes it kind of impossible to do business with Africans so we can create jobs, control our resources, hire our people, instead of like our people having to go to other countries to find work and to set up businesses, or to leave the continent, period, to come to America. Africans on the continent should not have to leave Africa to come to the United States of America for a better life, when the continent of Africa has all the natural resources on the planet. You see what I'm saying? America doesn't have resources like Africa. You see what I'm saying? These other continents in the world don't have the resources, like this t-shirt I got on. Like the great brother, if y'all need one of these African t-shirts that has all the resources on it, you know what I'm saying, that's being exploited by Europeans and Chinese, go to hashtag clothing on Instagram, or you know what I'm saying, I might just tag his page in this live after this live is over with. You feel me? Is that the resources? Africa has every natural resource that makes countries sustain itself today. All technological things you see today, whether it's your cell phone, your iPads, anything you see that makes United States of America a so-called democracy, a so-called great place to live, all this stuff that we have here in America to a certain degree, the resources to create these products, guess where it comes from? It only comes from two places, man, at this point. And even one of those places gets their resources from Africa, which is China. The United States of America, the only way the United States of America thrives as so-called this power, this superpower of a country, is off the resources of Africa, off the resources and products they get from China. And China gets their resources and products and shit from Africa. You see what I'm saying? So when I hear brothers and sisters always talking about Why go back home to Africa or Africa this, or they try to bash Africa in a bad way? Is that, brother, even the Africans, new Africans that live in America, we wouldn't have none of these great things that we enjoy today if it wasn't for Africa. This is coming from your ancestral land. We would not have none of this stuff. The flat TV, the flat screen TVs and things of that nature. What you think minerals are making these technological devices operate? Cocaine. Congo. This is why Congo is called the Wakanda of Africa. The Congo. Man, Congo has the most resources than any other place on this earth, right? In history. And even right now, the Congo. This is why Patrice Lumumba was trying to take back the Congo, man. A lot of people don't get it. It's because outsiders and the true foreigners, which is European nations, the colonizers, the settlers, this is the only reason they are in Africa, man. They're in Africa controlling every natural resource there is and exploiting it, and they selling this stuff back to our people in Africa for high prices. You feel me? That our brothers and sisters can't afford. You know what I'm saying? Like that's rape. This is why we say the continent of Africa is being raped and has been raped since the late 1880s when they set up the Conference of Berlin, when all the European nations got together to carve up Africa. This is why Africa is carved up. And this also plays into the mentality of why South Africans are killing, citizens, Ipob people, and citizens of Zimbabwe, is the fact that they have the mentality of division. They don't see themselves as like their brothers and sisters from different African countries on the continent. It's because their mind is colonized, just like when the Berlin Conference and the European nations divided Africa into different countries. You see what I'm saying? Colonies. You feel me? This is where that mentality comes from. This is why you see South Africans murdering their own brothers and sisters from different African nations, man. And we have to understand that Africa is a continent. It's not a country. It's a continent. Just like North America. North America is a continent, which is the United States, Canada, and parts of Central America. You see what I'm saying? Well, that's really separate, but Central America is really separate, but some of Central America is attached to the North American continent. You feel me? The United States is a country on the North American continent. So in Africa, you got over 55 countries that was carved up on the continent. You see what I'm saying? And that became nations, nation states. And then it took decades and centuries for these countries to even get their independence. And when they got their independence, right, they still are being controlled by these European nations, like Nigeria. Like I'm always saying about Nigeria. Nigeria is controlled by Britain. You see what I'm saying? So all these British elitists and these secret societies of Nigeria, all they keep doing is getting together to conspire to put in place puppet leadership to control the Nigerian resources, which is Nigeria has some of the most, and especially in Igbo land, Biafra land. Biafra land has all the resources, man. Oil. You see what I'm saying? This is what makes Nigeria thrive. The oil refineries in southeastern Nigeria and even in the middle plains of Nigeria. You feel me? It's being exploited by the wealthy, black, elitist, secret society classes with the control by the British. You see what I'm saying? This is why they're killing Igbo people. Because they have to kill Igbo people in order to try to control that oil and resources on that land. They don't want the resources and the land in the hands of the righteous people who are going to do right by their people, who are going to take care of their people. No Igbo people, no Biafran people, no ethnic group in Nigeria should be going to South Africa looking for a better life. They shouldn't be going to Europe looking for no better life. They shouldn't be coming to no United States of America for a better life when all the resources that take care of the world is right in their homeland. It's right in Biafra's homeland. You feel me? They shouldn't be no African, like I'm always saying, no African should have to leave Africa to go to no other goddamn country in this world for a better life. I mean, it's really It's really disrespectful at this point. It's really disrespectful at this point that Africans have to leave Africa for a better life when every other country, European nation on this earth, and every other country on this planet is thriving because of Africa? That's disrespectful, man. So now, like the reason I'm making this video is that, okay, we're holding South Africa accountable for what they're doing to our brothers and sisters and xenophobia, but now we must look inward. And what do I mean by looking inward? We must hold these African governments accountable for the poverty, the terrorism, the inequality that's going on in these countries, and the genocide that's being, and the discrimination on certain ethnic groups in these countries like Nigeria. We must start to point the finger at those countries, brother. What's wrong with those country governments? That any brother and sister have to leave their country to go somewhere else and get set on fire, to sacrifice their lives for a better life, to set up businesses and things of that nature in another country. No person in Nigeria should have to go to South Africa to set up businesses and to look for a better life. That makes no sense. That's why the capitalist system is a backwards system. That's the thing people don't get. It's abnormal. It's not normality. Any system that any Africans or any African nations and governments, any economic system that we're using, and it's a manifestation, and it's being ran or set up through European nations, is not for African people. That shit has never liberated African people. It has not benefited African people since African people came in contact with Europeans. This is facts, man. The transatlantic slave trade came into existence off of capitalism. They started kidnapping Africans all over Africa for capitalism. Even Arab imperialism, Arab capitalism. Because I ain't gonna leave them out. Because last time a couple of my brothers and sisters said I was pointing out the Chinese and the Europeans, and I left the Arabs out. No, I ain't leaving the Arabs out, because we know about the Arab slave trade. A lot of that stuff that's still going on the continent today is still results in manifestation of Arab imperialism from when the Arabs invaded Africa. And they doing the same thing the Europeans came to do years and decades later. Is colonize the continent and enslave the indigenous Africans on the continent, so they can be on the top of the ladder, so they can be the top of the hierarchy. You feel me? So their ethnic groups and races can live good and thrive good, but they even exploiting their own people. Arab countries exploiting their own people, work and labor. Yes, Arabs have slaves in the so-called Middle East. See, this is what we're saying, that, and all the freedom fighters have been saying for centuries and decades, is this, is that no matter where you look on the globe and the planet, the majority of the people in these nations, states across the world are being oppressed. We all have the same commonality. We're all being oppressed for our labor, our work. A lot of us not even getting work. People don't understand your conditions. Listen to what I'm saying. Your conditions in the material world is what creates poverty, the poverty mentality, the self-hate mentality, and the most important thing of all that manifests out of your conditions is violence. You see what I'm saying? Violence doesn't thrive. Listen to what I'm saying. This is scientific facts. Violence does not thrive unless it's thriving off of conditions. If me, you, and all the lower class and the people, working class people across the globe, and even on the African continent, if they had jobs that paid what it should pay, and we're able to take care of our families without struggling, without complaining, we're working and getting paid for our value and our work's value, there would be no violence. That's facts. Unless, because we know this is always, because the only reason the criminal element exists Also, all ties back to your conditions, people. The conditions that every government creates across this planet. This is why it's a duty for the people to always, when the government is not in the interest of the people, you must uprise against that government. That's a fact. That's pure facts. That's pure facts. No family on this planet should be struggling, man, with all these resources, especially my brothers and sisters on the African continent. There's no way some of these conditions that's in Africa, there's no way these conditions should be the way they are. You see what I'm saying? Hell, like I tell a lot of my brothers and sisters is that some of our African ethnic groups and tribes in Africa that have remained in their original way of life, that some people call I don't like to say paganism, or just living their old way of life. The tribes that still live off in nature, that still live off in their villages and have not really, evolved into the industrialization era that we live in now. A lot of those tribal people are way better off than the people that's living in the industrialization cities in Africa. Facts. Why? Because they control their land. They control their resources. They control their culture. They control what they eat. They eat off the land. So some of these indigenous African ethnic groups that are still living how they have always lived on the continent are living better than some of those brothers and sisters that's getting murdered in South Africa. Because no white man controls them. No white man gives them a job. No white man brings their industries on their land to be exploited. This is why they're living better than some people look at, they don't have no TVs. They don't have no furniture. They don't have the so-called glamorous material things that we have today, that we living in houses and things of that nature. We got cable TV, computers, things that the indigenous peoples on the continent that don't have none of this stuff. They're in a better mental state than than the people that's living in a technological industrialized city, man. That's facts. I see it. I study it. Some of them people are in the best mental health of their life because why? They ain't got to worry about violence. They ain't got to worry about jealousy. They ain't got to worry about working for Europeans and Chinese and Arabs. You feel me? Because they have their own cattle. They have their own land. They have their own vegetation. You feel me? They don't need nothing from a white man or a white industrialization corporations. People will laugh at it. People will look at it strange. Why these people still living in the wilderness? Why they still living in the jungle? Or why they still living in the desert? Shit, they well off better than us. We killing each other every day in every city across the globe. Every day. And we supposed to be living better than them. No, we not. We not living better than them because we're killing each other. Jealousy, envy, self-hate, things of that nature. Mental health is being destroyed by this European imperialism on the industries, industrialization of these countries and cities and states across the world, specifically in Africa. We're not living better than these people, man. Definitely not mentally. Definitely not mentally. They're setting people on fire in South Africa, people. They're setting brothers and sisters on fire. Setting them on fire. They're killing brothers and sisters in South Africa. But we're living better than those brothers and sisters, those indigenous tribes who are separated and don't want no part. Now you see why some of these indigenous tribes in these countries, you see why they don't want no parts of the commercialized and industrialized world. You see why they don't want no parts of that, and they stay away from white people, and they stay away from Chinese, they stay away from Arab. You wonder why some of these tribes, not even just the tribes in Africa, but tribes all over the world, the native tribes in North America, the native indigenous peoples in Brazil, South America, the Caribbean islands, and all that. You wonder why these people stay away from the industrialized world. Now you see why. You see why the Amazonian people that live in the Amazon rainforest, you see why they don't live in the so-called industrialized world. You see why they stay away? Look at it. It's violent. It's poverty. The governments are crooked. The governments don't take care of their own people at all. So that's why I wanted to do this. Because now we holding South Africans responsible, but now we must hold Nigeria accountable. We must hold Zimbabwe accountable. We must hold African governments accountable for the conditions they create that having our brothers and sisters have to leave their countries to go somewhere else for a better life, to only end up getting murdered, robbed, sodomized, raped, all these type of things in other countries. And I seen what my Biafran brothers and sisters have been talking about the last couple of days of how the South African government and the Nigerian government is conspiring to kill Ipob people. Yes, they are. Yes, they are. You want to know why they're conspiring against Ipob people? Because Ipob people in Ipob land has the resources. Nigeria has the Biafra land has the resources. This is why Biafra must become a realization. It has to be restored. But the simple fact, we need a government in Africa that's in the best interest of African people, to free black African people, no matter where we are on this planet. This is why Biafra must come into existence. This is why Amazonia must come into existence. This is why Sudan must be freed. This is why the Congo must be freed. In order for black people worldwide to be free. This is the thing people don't get, man, is that once we get a free Biafra, and we have other free African nations in Africa now, and we don't even have to wait for that. This is the key thing we don't have to wait till Biafra is free. These things can be accomplished now. But on the way to freeing countries like Biafra, Amazonia, Sudan, the Congo, on the way to that is that we have to set up relations between Africans in the African diaspora with these nations that are struggling for independence and restoration. And we have to patronize each other. We have to deal with each other in resources, man. And cut out the white man and cut out the Chinese. We have to do that now. We don't have to wait till Biafra is free. We don't have to wait till these African countries are free. No, these are things we have to do now. We have to set up an ecosystem, an economic ecosystem now, to where we can do trade with each other. See, what's going to free black African people and free Biafra is to do trade with other Africans all over the world. No matter where we at, all over the world. We have to start to trade. If you have resources in Biafra land, you have to set up an economic operation, industrialization, infrastructure to do trade strictly with Africans in the diaspora. This is how we free ourselves, people. Doing direct economic business with each other. This is how we free each other. We got to do business with each other, man. Some African brothers and sisters are already doing that by selling materials like clothing material, food, and other type of resources that we need for survival, to sustain ourselves, to produce what we need to produce in an infrastructure, economic infrastructure, to help our people all over the globe. The key thing to free African people is African trade amongst African people globally. Like Marcus Garvey stated, Africa for Africans, no matter where we live in the world. There's no way Europeans, Arabs, and Chinese should be controlling the African trade, man. It should not exist. It's more of us on this planet. There's more black people in the world than any other race on this planet. How does the minority races on the planet control the majority's resources? How is that possible? How is that possible, people? There are more black people on this planet than any race on this planet. And we don't control Africa? We should be ashamed of ourselves. We should be embarrassed. We should be ashamed of ourselves, people. It's more of us than anybody in this world. We are the original man. We are the original woman of the planet. We birthed every other ethnic group on this planet. Black people. And we don't control Africa? Africans are still killing Africans? Black people are still killing black people in America? How, man? How is this possible? Capitalism and imperialism is why it's happening. Capitalism, imperialism is why it's happening. A lot of y'all people don't want to hear these funny political terminologies and things of that nature, but you have to get educated on that aspect of our struggle. You must be politically educated first in order to liberate yourself, man. Yeah, these terms may sound big and you might not can comprehend capitalism, imperialism, colonialism, neo-colonialism. You know what I'm saying? Autonomy, things. You have to know these things, man, because this is how the world, the material world, is operating. You have to get politically educated in order to combat your oppression. You have to, man. When people try to tell you not to read, you gotta read. You need to pick up books from Nkrumah. You need to pick up books from Patrice Lumumba. You need to pick up books from Emile Cabral. You need to pick up books from Assata Shakur. You need to pick up books from freedom fighters and understand what's going on in the material world. You see what I'm saying? In order to come up with solutions to combat it. That's what revolution is about. Revolution ain't about running through the streets shooting people. You see what I'm saying? Revolution is about the mind. You must revolutionize your mind first. You must get politically educated first in order to understand what's going on outside your doors, man. What is your government doing? When you go to these government meetings, can you understand what they're telling you when they up there telling you what they telling you? Can you understand it? Do you know what these terms mean that they speaking at these government meetings? You got it, people. Come on, man. You can't free yourself, man, if you ain't free your mind first. You can't understand what these white people, these Chinese people, and these black puppet Negroes are doing to you and doing to your families in these cities and countries and states across the world. You can't understand it if you don't know what they're talking about. You have to understand their language. Or this is how they duped us for centuries, because we did not understand the political language. We didn't understand oppression. So now it's no excuse. It's no excuse because we have every technological device and every technological advance and these videos, things in that. We have everything we need to educate each other, man. Like my Biafran brothers and sisters in Africa and all the oppressed people in Africa, y'all should be able to teach me about what's going on in Africa. I should be able to teach y'all what's going on with black people in America. I should be able to do that now. We have FaceTime. We have YouTube. We have PDFs. If you can't go buy a book, if you can't afford a book, we have PDFs online now that we can share with each other. We can video chat. We can do conference calls. It's no excuse that black people worldwide, African people worldwide should not be communicating and unifying and teaching each other about each other's struggle, man. It's no excuse at this point. We should not be losing this war against imperialism and capitalism with all this technological advancements in the world right now for us to communicate with each other. There's no way, man. There's no way. And before I close the video, let me get into this topic that I wanted to touch about. Are there secret societies in Nigeria? Are there secret societies on the African continent that's conspiring with Europeans, Chinese, and Arabs to murder and kill their people? Yes, it is. Yes, it is. And this is one thing that you must all understand, that secret societies in Africa didn't start off doing evil deeds for other countries and oppressors. Let me say that again. These secret societies in Africa were sacred tribes and sacred secret societies at first. Their whole thing was keeping the gatekeepers of the culture, spirituality, and everything that was sacred to these African nations and tribes of people. You see what I'm saying? This is what the secret societies began on. But over the centuries, when the Europeans and the Arabs invaded Africa, they started to put their evil deeds and flex on these African tribes to now what the African tribes wanted to do what the Europeans and these Arabs did. You see what I'm saying? Now the secret societies in Africa help oppress Africans in Africa. They conspire with Europeans to murder and kill certain ethnic groups in Nigeria, just like the Ipob people. There are secret societies in Nigeria helping the Muhammad Buhari Jibril government in Nigeria kill ethnic groups in Nigeria and keep them oppressed. This is facts. Whether it's Islamic secret societies, Freemason, look, I did some research the other day. They have Freemason secret societies in Nigeria. And we all know the British Empire are Freemasons. They are part of the Mason line, the Mason occult, the Mason cult. British Empire are in the British royal family. All these people are Freemasons, man. All of them. They stole the African, and this is the thing you gotta understand, because we all know Masonry started with our African ancestors in ancient times. Ancient Chicam, which is ancient Egypt, ancient Kush, which is Ethiopia and Nubia. You feel me? We created it because, like what I just told you, the secret societies were created by Africans, by the righteous Africans to maintain secrets, rituals, culture, spirituality, political things. You see what I'm saying? It was for the best interest of the people at first. And even in the ancient times, it became corrupt. It got corrupted by external forces that came into Africa, like the Greeks, the Romans, the Arabs that came out of the ancient civilizations in the Middle East, the so-called Middle East. The African secret societies became corrupt over the centuries. And by them becoming corrupt, they started to work in the interest of their oppressors to murder, kill, and genocide those they feel were the righteous people of indigenous sub-Saharan Africa and Northern Africa and South Africa. They started to murder these innocent people and to keep these people from uprising. Just like what's going on in Nigeria right now. Why do you think they kill Igbo people at high rates, high levels? Why do you think they kill Igbo people, man? Because they know Igbo people are part of the original trinity of original peoples of the planet. This is facts. Igbo blood is deeper than what people think it is. Igbo people are a part of the origin of humanity. They have to kill Igbo people. They don't want Igbo people to get back what was already theirs. You see what I'm saying? Because they know Igbo people and all these original ethnic groups that come from the original line of humanity. They don't want the power to transfer back to the original righteous indigenous people of Africa, because they know once that happens, all black African people worldwide will be free. They know this, man. Just like the new Africans here in America. We are righteous people too. We are 400 years of slavery. To some people, it was written. And you know what I'm saying? I don't believe in a lot of that doctrine, but it was written, it was so-called written that the new African people are extension of those righteous indigenous peoples, Igbo people, and other ethnic righteous indigenous groups that are from the original indigenous tribes of humanity. These new Africans that were sent to the Western Hemisphere are special people. Yes, we are. Because when the time comes, we're going to take back what's ours. Our ancestors didn't go through 400 years of slavery for us not to return to our essence, to return to paradise. Our ancestors were enslaved because they had to enslave them. Because we would be free right now. We would be free people right now if our African ancestors would have never been enslaved, man. and sent to the Western Hemisphere. And then they came and enslaved the people that was already on this land. 400 years, man. So, not to get off track, but the secret societies of Nigeria, they have, let me run through it. Let me run through it before I get off this line real quick. Secret societies, here's a list of secret societies in Nigeria. And you can go do this research on your own, because you know I'm always trying to share the information to go look it up yourself. This is what this article states. It says secret societies have a desire to control different countries over thousands of years. Let me say that again. Secret societies have a desire to control different countries over thousands of years. This is what's going on in Nigeria. When Nigeria, the northern part of Nigeria, so I can explain this and break this down to a great breakdown. Northern Nigeria, when Northern Nigeria got taken over, or a lot of these ethnic groups that were pushed to Northern Nigeria and became indoctrinated by these secret societies of Islam. This is just pure facts, people. The Fulani, the Hausa, and I always got to tell people this. People don't get this, man. This is a key thing that a lot of people don't get is this, man. People like the Fulani, the Hausa, and all these indigenous African tribes in Africa that are now Islamized, that's now under the indoctrination of Islam, this was not their original people's way of life, spiritual systems, religious systems, and their spiritual beliefs. These are not their original spiritual beliefs, people. How hard is that to get? Because right now, I can go online right now. I can show you information right now that the Hausa and Fulani were not Muslims at first. They were not Muslims at first, people. I don't know why people believe this crap, man. They were not Muslims at first. The Hausa and Fulani was not Muslims at first. They became Muslims. That's the thing people don't get. People don't get these things, man. This comes from years of being indoctrinated by external forces that came from somewhere else, like the Arabs and the Europeans. The Arabs and Europeans brought their own religious constructs into West Africa. This is facts. A lot of people have been, Muslims, Christians, and Jews for so long that they overlook these things. They don't want to see the truth behind these things. It's okay. Listen to me right now, Muslim people in Nigeria, Christian people in Nigeria, Jewish people in Nigeria, Muslim people in Africa, Jewish people in Africa, all these people that have these Abrahamic religions. I'm not here to bash it. That's your belief. I can't change it. If you're a Muslim, hey, that's what you are. If you're a Christian, that's what you are. If you're a Jew, that's what you are, man. I'm not here to fight against your religion, because that's the number one divider of African black people globally is religion. We were never unified because everybody has a problem when it comes to their religion. You see what I'm saying? So I'm not here to bash it. But all I want from the Muslims in Africa, the Christians in Africa, the Jews in Africa, this is the only thing that I want you to understand, man. That your ancestors, the people that you descend from, the people that the generations of bloodlines of your ethnic group didn't start off as Muslims. They didn't start off as Christians. They didn't start off as Jews. This is facts. This is part of human evolution. Do you really think that Ipob people were Jews at first? No, they were not. This is something that developed over time in human development, that Ipob people took on Judaism, that Hausa Fulani took on Islam. This is centuries and decades later, people. What were they before that? Is what you need to research. What were your ancestors practicing spiritually before that? A lot of you demonize it now because you're so detached from your original culture. your indigenous culture, that yes, you see that as not normal because you're so detached from what your original ancestors were doing. But my only thing and message to you is that at least try to embrace it, understand it, study it, and be like, because far as me, I'm not and this is for clarification to a lot of people who always want to know what are my spiritual traditions, what's my spiritual beliefs. Let me put it out here on the table right now. Is that I'm not a Jew, I'm not a Muslim, I'm not a Christian, man. Because I don't believe in titles. Humanity has been enslaved by titles. And a lot of these titles are Europeanized. They're not even the original tongue of these religious systems and spiritual systems. If that makes sense to you today. This is what I'm saying. I don't believe in titles when it comes to African indigenous culture and spirituality and even political economic system. I don't believe in Europeanized titles. I don't believe in it. You would never get me to believe in it. I would never sell out to these titles. So I'm not a Christian, I'm not a Jew, I'm not a Muslim. Guess what I am, people? I'm a spiritual being having a human experience. That's what I am. That's what I am. Well, people say, who do you pray to then? Who do I pray to? I pray to the Nidiichie. I pray to my blood ancestors, known and unknown, on this continent and in Biafra land and other parts of Africa. I pray to my ancestors who are no longer here in the physical form, but the spiritual form. And I recognize the one spiritual being, the spiritual creator, the spiritual nature of Chukwu Chineke. That's what I believe in, with no religion added. I believe in Ominala, Odinani. I believe in the indigenous ways of our people that came out of Biafra land and Igbo land. That's what I believe in, people, with a little twist of what I believe indigenously from my indigenous ancestors, no matter where they are. The one common thing that we all have in common with indigenous cultures is that we honor and we revere nature. We honor and commemorate nature because nature is the highest science of the creator Chukwu Chineke. You see what I'm saying? And I pay homage to my blood ancestors who died and sacrificed their lives for me to be here today. My blood ancestors, dead, unknown, and known, from the African continent to North America, is what I believe in. Period. Nobody can change that, because this is a spiritual science and a spiritual personal belief between me and the creator Chukwu Chineke and my ancestors, man. Nobody should be offended by that. You shouldn't get offended by it. That's me. Because I do all my spiritual things by myself, to myself, for my spiritual development and my mental development. But not to get off topic. Let me get back on topic with the secret societies. So, like I said, Hausa Fulani, all these people were not Muslims at first. They migrated to northern Nigeria and became corrupted by external forces from Arabia and Europe to come down into South Nigeria and murder Igbo people and murder Biafran people, which is what you see today with the Fulani herdsmen. These are all secret societies that have now become corrupt and who are in collaboration with the Nigerian government and all these other governments in Africa to kill righteous brothers and sisters on the continent, to keep them from taking back what's rightfully ours, which is the land and resources, and to take care of black African, new African people worldwide. This is what secret societies are doing in Nigeria. This is why you see a lot of coup d'etats in Africa. If you always keep saying coup d'etats in Africa, always understand that it's a wealthy secret society, a wealthy black secret society, or a militarized society that's in collaboration with the British or European nations to overthrow righteous brothers and sisters and assassinate righteous brothers and sisters. Why you think you never seen a real Ipob president in Nigeria? I always got to use this example when I'm teaching this to my brothers and sisters here in America. It's like, have you noticed? You have never seen an Igbo president in Nigeria. Except for people who, they try to say that Nnamdi was. They try to say that Nnamdi Azikiwe was. But we all know that he got corrupted. Nnamdi Azikiwe got corrupted as soon as he got in office because the British put him on. The British he really was doing like, he really was being submissive to the British, Nnamdi Azikiwe. But the one thing I give Nnamdi Azikiwe is that he did what he had to do to try to get independence. But that way he did it was not a great strategized way of doing it because they created Nigeria. They created the most corrupt country in Africa right now. They created Nigeria. They bunched all these ethnic groups up together. It's over how many ethnic groups in Nigeria? I think it's like over 300. It's close to like over 300 ethnic groups in Nigeria. How in the hell would you expect to bunch all these ethnic groups together and talk about their one nation and their one nation citizens of people? See, that's where it went wrong at. You cannot bunch all these ethnic groups together and try to call them one nationality, which is Nigerian. What is a Nigerian? What is that? That's not the indigenous name of these ethnic groups. They're not Nigerians. They're Igbo, Yoruba, Hausa, Fulani, Ibibo, all the ethnic groups in Nigeria. They have indigenous names. So how did they become Nigerians? Just like the black people in America. I'm always got to tell this to African people, like the black people in America. How are we African Americans? It's impossible. That's not our original name. We're not African Americans. Where is the country called Africa America? I want somebody to show me what is Africa America. Show me on the map. What is a Africa America? We're not African Americans. This is facts. The black people in America are the most lost people in the world because we don't have a national ethnic identity. We are the most lost people in the world. We don't even have an indigenous tongue. We speak white people language. We speak English. No black person on this planet should be speaking English as their indigenous tongue. That's not our indigenous tongue. People who look like me don't speak English. We're the most lost people in the world. Black people in America, the new African. We're the most lost people in the world. We have no true national identity, no true nationality besides being African. So how the hell did the Europeans come into Africa and group all these groups together in Nigeria and call them Nigerians? And this is why this is the most important part of a political, how can I put it? This is the most important part of a political body and bringing in, creating something that's in the interest of the people politically is this, man, is that the people word must be heard. The people word must stand. Nobody has more power than the people. Now, take Nigeria for example, is that if you got over 300 something ethnic groups in Nigeria, right? If the majority of these ethnic groups in Nigeria say, no, we don't want to be Nigerians, No, we don't want to be a part of Nigeria. No, we don't want to be citizens of Nigeria. No, we don't want to be called Nigeria. No, we don't want to be grouped up with Yoruba. We don't want to be grouped up with Hausa. We don't want to be grouped up with Fulani. Why force that when the majority states that no, we don't want to be a part of that politically? This is indigenous human rights is what I'm trying to tell you, people, is that we have an indigenous human right to choose our destiny as a people, man. If we don't want to be a part of something, then we're supposed to vote and come together to tell the people who in power that no, we don't want to be a part of that. We're supposed to be given the human right to either be a part of Nigeria or not to be a part of Nigeria. That's a human right, an indigenous human right. Just like the new African black people in America. When our people came out of chattel slavery and was freed out of slavery, see, all our struggles are identical. If you don't peep it, we have identical struggles. When our African ancestors were freed out of slavery, we were supposed to have a human right to decide what we wanted to do. We were supposed to be given the human right to look here and say this to the United States. It's like, look here, man. We either could have said we wanted to be American citizens, or we could have made the decision to be like, no, we want to go back to Africa, or no, we want to be our own nation and own citizens under our own black government. We want our own land. We want our own this, because all this was owed to black people in America for the Holocaust, the Ma'afa that we just went through with chattel slavery. You see what I'm saying? So when a people becomes free, right? Now it's your human right to decide your destiny and what you want to be as a people, man. That's a human right. Go look it up in the United States Charter. Go look it up in the indigenous laws of indigenous people across the world. You have the human right to decide the political, economic, social destiny of your people. This is a human right. Black people in America were never given that choice. When we came out of slavery, we were never given that choice. We were forced to become American citizens. Just like Biafrans, Ipob, other ethnic groups in Nigeria were forced to be Nigerians. Now you see how in common our struggle is? You see how in common the struggle is? We went through the same struggle. We went through the same thing. We were forced to become something we were not. We were forced to become something we were not. We were never Americans. We will never be Americans. Because that's not who you are indigenously. That's not who you are originally. You're not an American. If you're black, new African, you're not an American. If you're black and you're Igbo, you're Yoruba, even Fulani, I know y'all got disagreements going on, but even for, you're not Nigerian. You see what I'm saying? You're not a Nigerian. This is something that the white man constructed. He constructed that nationality. Just like the white man constructed the American nationality. And forced it on people who are not of that nationality. Who never wanted to become that nationality. Who were stripped of the right to decide their own destiny as a world people. To be a world people in the world global community. That was taken from us. New Africans, blacks in America. That was taken away from the Igbo people. That was taken away from the Yoruba people in Nigeria when they made them Nigerians. So yes, do your research on the secret societies of Nigeria. There are secret societies that are conspiring and facilitating the murder, death of ethnic groups in South Africa. South Africa has secret societies as well. Wealthy bourgeoisie class of people that are conspiring with the white South Africans to keep the South Africans oppressed. See, throughout history, we have these sellout black Negroes that are working in the interests of white people to kill the righteous people of these countries. This is facts, man. Pure facts. Just like there are secret societies in North America, the United States, that are black-skinned, black secret societies in America, the Skull and Bones, the bourgeoisie blacks in America who are conspiring with the United States government to keep black people murdered by the police, killed by the police, and oppressed and locked up in these ghetto colonies, projects across America. Yes, there are rich black people who are helping the white man keep black people oppressed in America. Facts. Let me read some of these comments before I get off here. I see y'all, brothers and sisters. I see y'all. Shout out to all my bathroom brothers and sisters, man. Exactly. If I'm saying something wrong, like my brother just said, Ophia, like he just said, if I'm saying something wrong, prove it. It's just a lot of people just are scared of a lot of people fear the reality that they're truly living under, man. And the number one thing for a free people to free themselves from a mentally oppression is to destroy fear. You cannot have fear when uttering and speaking the truth. You must speak the truth, man. Whether you must ride on truth, man. I would never ever, with what I know and how I've developed as a new African, as an African brother, I would never tell my people a lie. I would never make videos telling lies, man. When we know what's truly going on. If you know how the system operates, you feel me? If you know how the system operates, man. So like I said before I get off this live, this is what we got to do here, is this. Nigeria must be held accountable for the conditions, the oppression, the murder, the genocide of Ipob people and other ethnic groups in Africa, in Nigeria. The Nigerian government must be held accountable for the economy that has a lot of Ipob people living in poverty, a lot of ethnic groups living in poverty in Nigeria. Nigerian government must be held accountable for xenophobia in South Africa. They must be held accountable because these African brothers and sisters should not have to go to South Africa for a better life. These African brothers and sisters in Nigeria shouldn't have to sacrifice their life to try to get to Europe or try to get to America and die trying to cross the seas to try to get into Europe for a better life. This should not be going on, man. If that's a righteous government, if that's a democracy, if that's a government that's controlled by the people, no African in Nigeria should have to go to South Africa to be murdered and killed by their own brothers and sisters, man. Over resources, over business, over work and labor, jealousy and self-hate. Because I'm never going to leave the self-hate out because we've been indoctrinated with self-hate, man. To hate people who look like us, man. We've been indoctrinated, man. Colonized. Colonized, man. Nigeria has to be held accountable for those brothers and sisters being set on fire. One sister was strangled to death. They strangled her Ipob sister to death. They killed and murdered this Ipob sister, strangled her to death. For what? They're burning and looting Ipob businesses, Nigerian businesses in South Africa, burning them down, stealing the products, stealing the resources out the store. You got Ipob brothers and sisters defending themselves, running to the bush. They running into the bush in South Africa to defend themselves. You got Ipob brothers and sisters that's fighting back in South Africa. For what? They shouldn't even be in South Africa. They should be in Biafra land, living good, living well. They should be in Nigeria, living well. I mean, I just don't get it, man. I just don't get it. I just don't get it. Before I get off this live, what I was about to say. Yeah, be on the lookout. I got a video that I'm doing. A special video I'm gonna do. I'm not gonna reveal the topic yet because in it's Ipob history. So be on the lookout for it. I'm gonna make a video about this great brother, this great ancestor of Ipob people that struggled against the British. I'm not even gonna get a name out yet because you already know who he is. I'm not gonna get a name out, but I'm just gonna do I'm gonna bring a presentation for it on this great freedom fighter brother. that a lot of Igbo brothers and sisters know of. You should know it ain't too many great, well, it's a lot of great freedom fighters from Igbo land, but this great brother I'm gonna do a video on is somebody from the periods of slavery that I'm gonna do this next video on. So be on the lookout for that video, man. And if you're not subscribed, please go subscribe to my YouTube channel, because I put a lot of content and a lot of history dealing with our people in Africa, Igbo land, or whatever I do videos about. I put it on my YouTube channel because I can't upload it to Facebook. So go to YouTube, Hockey Kweli Shakur YouTube channel. Please go to that channel and hit the subscribe button, because there's a lot of deep topics that you're going to want to see that's going to be on my YouTube channel, because I can't upload it to Facebook. So I don't want my Igbo people, my Biafran people, to miss some of the content that I'm posting on YouTube. So please share my YouTube channel with all the brothers and sisters in Biafra land, all the Biafra brothers and sisters across the world. Share my YouTube channel, because I put a lot of stuff on my YouTube channel that you're going to want to hear. Trust me. So I'm going to put the YouTube channel in the description box of this live and in the comment box. Please go subscribe to my channel. That's about it. I think I touched everything that I wanted to touch about. Yeah, I basically touched on everything I wanted to touch about, man. We have to hold these African governments accountable, man, for the conditions that our brothers and sisters have to go through in places like Nigeria, South Africa. We must hold these puppet government. We must get rid of these puppet leaders in Africa, man, because they don't benefit no black people nowhere on this planet, man. Because like we always saying, if Africa ain't free, there's no way no black people on this world will ever be free, man. If Africa is not free and controlled by real righteous African brothers and sisters who want to free African people globally. If Africa is not free, we will never be free, man. Never. And I'm going to just leave you with those words, man. If Africa has to unite as one, Biafra must be freed, Amazonia must be freed, the Sudan must be freed. Most important area in Africa that must be freed is the Congo. When we going to start standing up in solidarity for the Congo, man? The Congo is the Wakanda of Africa. We must free the Congo. Everything Patrice Lumumba died for, we must stand on today. The Congo must be freed. It has to be freed, man. The land of resources and minerals has to be free. Congo has to be free. So I'm going to sign off on that note, man. Thanks for kicking it with me today. I'll be back soon with another live. Shout out to Biafra, free New Africa, free the Republic of New Africa, free the people, free the mind, and free the land by any means necessary. I love y'all.